It's humid standing upstairs of the barn here. We've never had that much first cutting in my life that I've been alive. Yeah. That's a lot of first cutting to fill all this in, plus all that, the back end of the barn, or along the side of it. Because the walkway, because it stops at the post here. That would be in line with that door. So yeah, a lot of square bales. Round bales are a heck of a lot easier. Upstairs is empty here, had a feed. So yeah, gotta shovel some down to make it to what, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It'll all work out. Placed a feed order Friday, so it'll probably be here Monday, tomorrow. I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's hot out. Well, you know what? I don't care. I don't care what you think. You know, you shut up, do the job, you go home, and then you get cleaned up. Yeah, there's none of this, oh, it's hot out, I gotta go home, my tummy's upset. Yeah, you know what? You frickin' take some dang Tylenol with you. You take that whenever you need it, you get the heck back to work. There's no sick days, there's no nothing in farming. You just bully up and do the job. Tired of frickin' lazy people. I'm tired of it! Tired of it! So it's Monday, the 27th. 26th was yesterday because we had a family reunion. Gonna put some grease in these things like I said I would. I'm not too concerned about the wagons because you have to unhook the wagons, turn the drawbar the hitch every which way to get the tie rod ends, and I'm not convinced that this ground is entirely level to be doing that because there are holes and stuff, and a wagon tire sits in a hole. You won't be able to turn the wheel or the tongue, and just, yeah. But hey, wait a minute, we're missing a drive shaft. Oh, duh. Here it is, because you're supposed to take these drive shafts out when you go over, I think it's 25 mile an hour with these rakes. You're supposed to pull the drive shafts, and that's what we done here. Going to be greasing with Milwaukee grease gun. I brought 2 extra tubes of grease because I don't, well, I guess I should have, nah, I'm half full. Guess I didn't really need that second tube, but I managed to bring crescent wrench back, and I'll show you when we use a crescent wrench for here right quick. You guys want some good gloves to grease with and stuff? I would highly recommend these orange yellow gloves from Glove Works. I've done a video review before. I'll put a link in the description of these gloves, but yeah, get them dirty, they wipe off ever so nice. I keep a pair in my pocket. I wipe them off when I'm done with them, reuse them till they either get a hole in them or they're just that dirty that I can't do anything about it. And this is why I brought the crescent wrench back with me, adjustable wrench, some as you may call them. But yeah, that get this hay off of here. It's not that there's a grease fitting in here, because the grease fitting is in here, in this little guy here. So what I did is I brought this crescent wrench back because I knew that I would have to be turning this, and it don't turn worth a darn when you just want to turn it by hand. And so I use a crescent wrench because, you know, that is the world's easiest tool to go after. And you just smear grease on the tire and, you know, hope all the grease fitting. Where the heck is that guy? I mean, yeah, you can kind of spin it just with, you know, your hand or whatever. But I prefer using a crescent wrench. Okay, so there's the grease fitting right there, and that's why I brought the crescent wrench back, because sometimes you cannot spin the shaft by hand. You have to use a tool. You know, there's times where I've questioned myself, you know, whether something will take grease or not. And I've come to the conclusion that as long as you hear the grease go in, that it don't matter how many, you know, pumps you set it to. I normally like to set my grease gun to 5 pumps because I feel that, you know, that's a sufficient amount of grease that could be going into this thing. It don't hurt to yeah, over grease. Well, can't really over grease because that's, you know, blowing seals out, but also you don't want to under grease, because under greasing just, it's not good to under grease. It's just not. I wouldn't recommend it. Yeah, should be grease fitting. Yep, there is one right there. It won't. That's the problem with these grease gun ends. I know everybody's like, oh, lock and lube, and I might, but there's just some things that a lock and lube can't get into because it's so long. All right, so they're both greased with just under half a tube of grease from where I started. So this thing is a grease saver. I don't care what nobody says, especially with this lock on it, or this grease kick out, grease count, or whatever you call it, so you don't waste grease. And I will show you just what 5 pumps of grease looks like. Right over here, grease exactly. Okay, yes, it was this one. Yeah, 5 pumps of grease to where you just barely start to see it come out is sufficient enough for hay rake. Okay, now you're probably going and asking yourselves, how the heck do you know when, you know, like a axle bearing, how do you know when it's taking grease? Well, you just gotta know that it's taking grease, because there's really no good way of telling unless you take the wheel off, pull the, you know, and then boom, there's your grease. But I'm not gonna, because it's too much work. Not saying I don't like to work, but I don't think Dad would be too happy if I did it back here. But, you know, you just got to know that that stuff like that is taking grease. Stuff like this up here, you can clearly see that it's taking grease, which, you know, that's good. Greased the jack on this one, because this is the rake we use to rake corn fodder with, because corn fodder will not go under that axle. We've tried, and it don't work. That hitch has been greased. Yes, I know there's no grease. There's no blue grease showing up around here, but you just have to believe me that there's grease in it, because you guys seen me grease it, you heard it. Yeah, stuff like that, you don't want to over grease, because that's just being wasteful. Yeah, dolly, there's no grease fittings on that because, well, there's just not. So, not gonna grease the jack on the rake, the front one, because it don't rake corn fodder. It's too hard to get the thing out from underneath the dolly to rake with, but I'll make sure to grease that this fall. But yeah, let's go see what other kind of trouble we can get into today. Finally got one after all, guys. Had it laying around over at work and took advantage of it. It should work because this will screw on and I can let my valves like this or something. Now it should work like such. If it don't, it's my fault. Heard the water. Cool. Now I need to put like a garden hose end on it that hangs down or something, or else I'll just probably let it like that. But this is what I've been wanting for a really long time, because without it, there's no good way to wash hands or anything like that. You know, even though I do keep a roll of paper towels back here, you gotta have water. And it just wasn't gonna work with unscrewing the hose all the time. I knew I'd come up with a fix.